I'm declaring it now. It is time to start dressing for spring. Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm so excited because I feel like spring has nearly sprung here in Minnesota. It may only be 40 degrees today, but it is sunny and the snow has melted and we've had a few glimpses at some warmer days. So I feel like if I can just start manifesting spring in my clothing, maybe it will start actually reflecting in the weather outside. Yes, I do realize that I am wearing a sweater, but this is what I'm saying. It is time to change up the wardrobe. And to do that, I thought it would be really fun to remake a pattern that I did in fall colors last year and do it in a more springtime fabric and feel. So if you've been around for a little while, you might remember that last fall for Halloween, as part of my Halloween costume, I made the lander pants for the first time. This was actually my first time making a more tailored pants construction, and by that I just mean like pants without an elastic waistband with an actual button closure, and I had such a fun time doing it. I remember it felt like such a big challenge at the time, and I was just so unbelievably proud of myself for accomplishing it. And I've been wanting to remake this pants pattern basically ever since I made it, just to see if I can improve some of the finishes and maybe make the fit a little bit better. And since last year I made it in kind of a corduroy adjacent fabric, I thought it would be really fun to make it for spring. Hold on, let me show you. This is a linen hemp blend fabric, super lightweight, and it's kind of in this like ochre color, perhaps, and it's got little cute flowers on it, and I just thought it would be the perfect fabric for kind of winter transitioning into spring. I feel like there's a lot to say, a lot to catch up on, but I just want to get working, so we'll chat in a minute. Okay, so as usual, I cut out my pattern pieces last night, and I'm just gonna prep some of the pieces that require interfacing and start getting the back pockets ready because I need to like do some ironing before you do any sewing. And in the meantime, I thought I would just chat to you a little bit more about this pattern and my plan for today. So as I mentioned, this is the Lander Pants pattern by True Bias, which I would say if you're looking for kind of an introductory pattern to making pants with a button fly or a zip closure, I would recommend this pattern because I found it to be very approachable for an advanced beginner level, and I really enjoyed making it last time. The only thing that I wanted to change about the pattern is potentially kind of changing up the waistband. So obviously it's designed to be a non-elasticated waist, but I think I'm going to do elastic on the back and then the normal fly closure on the front. I have another pair of pants that have that style and I really like them. I like the fit of them and they feel much more comfortable to me than like a full real pant waistband. But I think that's going to be the modification that I make today. Okay, so I just interfaced the fly piece as well as the two front pocket pieces have a little bit of interfacing on them. And then I started preparing the back pockets just with some ironed on folds. And now to get started sewing, I'm just going to sew on the darts, which are just on the back, and then start sewing in the back pockets. I actually love that this is like how the pattern starts because I feel like it's a bunch of short steps that are kind of easy wins. And I just remember when I made it last time, it just felt so exciting to like already have a vision of what the back of the pants was going to look like, even like a couple steps in. Okay, this is perhaps common knowledge, but I didn't know. So in case you don't know, I recently learned that when you're sewing a dart, you are not meant to do any back stitching like at the bottom of the dart. You're just meant to sew all the way off the fabric essentially, and then tie a knot at the end. It makes sense. When you do back stitching, it sometimes looks kind of funky. So this is a much cleaner way of finishing darts. So yeah, that might be a common knowledge, but I didn't know. So just in case you didn't know, now you know. is wild to me is the fact that I used to be very anti-iron. I didn't have one for a long time, and I just thought that I could like get away with sewing without one, which is honestly just so silly because there are certain steps like preparing these pockets where it's kind of crucial to have an iron, but then also ironing things just like makes them look 1,000 times better. Like if you sew something and it maybe looks okay, if you iron it, I swear it will look like $1,000,000 every single time. So I don't know, just in case anyone else out there is anti-iron, as I used to be, please know that there is a reason that everything says to iron, because it looks better and it actually makes your life a lot easier. Okay, I just added this cute little line of edge stitching on the pocket, and we're now ready to attach them to the back pants. Just like that, we've got back pants pieces with pockets and darts. It's a little bit hard to see on the camera this way, but I would argue just having those pockets in already makes it look like a pair of pants is happening, which I just find very exciting. I think that I am going to stop there for today, but I will be back tomorrow to work on the front pocket pieces, and then we get into the actual assembly of the pants. So I will see you tomorrow. Okay, it is day 2 of this project. I'm not gonna lie, I had a big bowl of pesto pasta for lunch just now, which was delicious, but there is a big part of me that would like to just lie down and have a nap, but we're not gonna do that because I do want to get back to this project, and we're going to start off today with the front pockets. These front pockets do have a lining, so I'm going to start by sewing the lining piece and the actual pocket piece together, and then attaching them to the front pieces of the pants. Okay, so now all the pockets are done. I just attached the front pockets with a small edge stitch on the edges that extend like into the pant, and then basting the top and the sides to the pant itself because those will get closed in to other seams. Now that all the pocket detailing is done, it's time to actually start assembling the pants. So first step for this is putting a back piece and a front piece together and sewing the inseam. Do that on both sides and then put the two halves together. And I've actually just had the thought now that I think I would like to use French seams, at least on the inseam, just because it'll be a little bit of a cleaner finish and a stronger finish. You may remember I did have trouble with the other lander pants I made with the durability just in like the inseam and the seat. So I think having a stronger finish would be useful, even though it's going to be a little bit more work. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and then I think that'll probably be it for today. I know that I haven't talked to camera all that much, but I have been working away. Once we start to get the pants assembled, I think I'll probably put it down for tonight and pick it up again tomorrow. need. I need to take these. Guys, I guess we might be done for the day because someone has claimed the pieces of fabric that I need to do the other leg. Life with a cat. Sewing with a cat. You gonna get up? You gonna get up? Oh, thank you. Okay, we can proceed. Gosh, doing French seams is definitely putsy, but I think that the finish on it is so worth it, especially on like seams that are going to get a lot of wear, like the inseam of a pant. I think it'll be really worthwhile, but it's kind of a pain because you really have to do twice as much work, plus a lot of ironing. But anyway, I think I'm gonna call it there for today, and tomorrow we're going to basically assemble the pants. So put the left and right sides together and maybe get into the waistband, although that might be a day 4 situation. So I will see you tomorrow. Hello, welcome back to day 3 of this project. I just went for a walk, so I'm a little bit flushed. Today, the goals are to finish the inseam on the pants, so actually putting the left and right sides together, do the buttonhole closure, and hopefully get to sewing the side seams so we can actually try on the pants for the first time, which is always an exciting and slightly nerve-wracking part of the process. And then tomorrow, if we get all of that done, all that will be left to do is the waistband, which is the part of the project that I'm kind of hacking. So I want to give myself enough time to do that. First up, as I said, we're going to be joining the left and right side of the pants through the inseam. And I think I might just French seam the whole thing. So we're gonna give that a go. I don't think I've ever French seamed like a crotch seam or an inseam like that, but hopefully it turns out well. So just to show you what I'm doing, since I'm going to French seam this crotch seam, I just put the left and right pieces wrong sides together and pinned along the back. So this is the back pant, pinned along the back crotch seam all the way down through where it's marked on the pattern to stop, because for this front section there's going to be a fly built in here, so we don't want to close off this just yet. Just like yesterday, I don't know if I explained like French seams very well, just in case you're curious, but basically you want to sew wrong sides together and then press the seam out and then sew right sides together so that you're encasing the raw edge. I probably should have taken this into consideration when I cut my pattern pieces and given myself a little bit more seam allowance, but I'm just using like half the seam allowance that the pattern gives me on each side, if that makes sense. So sewing wrong sides together with like a 1/4 inch seam allowance and then pressing the seam out and sewing again with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You probably meant to do it differently, but this is the way that I'm doing it. I always forget my scissors. I use these little snips when I'm crocheting as well, which I usually crochet at night on the couch. So these snips are just like always all over the house. They're back and forth and I can never find them. Okay, now we press. now that the left and right pieces are joined, I just put the little fly piece in, and now we get to do buttonholes, which I really enjoyed doing last time, so I'm excited to do them again. I just used an air dry marker that is like already fading to mark out where the buttonholes are going to go, and then also mark out the edge of the fly for where I'm going to top stitch that fly piece down. Okay, I'm sewing my little buttonholes, and it has been a minute since I sewed buttonholes with the machine, and I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I literally just watched a tutorial, so I think I'm doing it right, but something about it feels off. Let me show you. So I just sewed this little buttonhole, and it just looks so like, it just looks so frail and fragile and like not actually, like there should be more stitches here, no? I really like had a moment where I completely forgot how to use the buttonhole foot and like how to size it appropriately. But I looked that up, and maybe my stitch width needs to be longer? Hang on, I gotta do some research because I feel like I'm about to mess up all 3 buttonholes. Okay, we're back. We figured it out. It was my stitch length and width that were messed up. Let me show you. So I'm on a Singer Heavy Duty. I have my buttonhole foot in, and what I was doing wrong, I was using the buttonhole steps, but my stitch length and width were wrong. So the length actually needs to be on the like little buttonhole section. I think I had it on 1, and then the width needs to be all the way up. And when I did that, I got this beautiful buttonhole outline. So I'm gonna do 2 more of those. Okay, no, you guys, I just finished my buttonholes, but I realized I like didn't measure the actual button. I used, this is the like little guide that came with the pattern. I used that to mark out where my buttonholes were meant to be, but I stupidly just used this width rather than actually measuring the buttons that I got. I realized it like as I was doing the last button, so I did make this last buttonhole a little bit longer, so I think it might be okay, maybe. But like this middle buttonhole looks like it's gonna be way too small for this button. I mean, what can I say? It's that point in the project when things just go wrong and I feel like I am off my game and like maybe rushing through steps and I make mistakes. I think I am just gonna open the buttonhole though and see if the button fits, just because undoing the sewing on buttonholes is so difficult and tedious because there's like so many stitches there, right? So I think I'm just going to cut them open and pray that the button fits through, because I really like these buttons. I think they're so cute, so I would like to use them. But wow, I can't believe I did that. I just like really had a whole mental breakdown about these doing these buttonholes, because at first I thought that the buttonhole foot that I had was like the kind where you're meant to put the button in it, and it isn't. So I don't know why I thought that, but then I couldn't figure out how to put the button in, and so then I abandoned that plan, and then I looked up how to do it, and I was like, oh, I don't even need to use the button. But then I didn't even think that I did actually need to measure the button in order to have it fit. So let's just open these up and be chaotic and see if it works. Okay, I'm going to, can you see? I'm going to open the middle one first because it's slightly smaller than the others. So if this one works, then all of them should work theoretically. Oh, it's small. It seems really small. Oh, you guys, it's too small. It's too small. Oh, that's really annoying. Okay, guys, I think I somewhat salvaged the buttonhole situation, but they are simply just not the prettiest buttonholes I've ever sewn, which is a shame because they are like exposed buttons on the front of the pants. So I am kind of disappointed about that, but we're just gonna have to move on because there's nothing else to do about it. I would really like to finish the fly piece today. I'm running out of time, so I don't think I'm going to get to the outer side seams, but I would like to finish the fly piece today, which I think I just have one step left. So I've got this other piece of the fly that essentially will just attach somehow. I actually need to look at the directions again. But once that's done, then the fly piece will be done, and I think we'll be done for the day. Powered through, finished the fly on the pants, so I did the other side of the fly and then just did a top stitch from like the bottom of the fly all the way around the crotch area. So that bit is done. Like I said, definitely not the prettiest fly I've ever created, but I think it'll do. I think it'll be okay. And with that, I think I'm gonna wrap up for the day, and we'll just do the out seam, side seam, whatever, tomorrow. As you can tell, my brain is going to mush. So we'll pick it back up here tomorrow. Hello, welcome back to day 4 of this project. And this is the final day that I have allotted to work on the project. So we will be finishing today. And lucky for me, my work day ended a little bit early, which means that I can get right into the project work a little bit early as well. So first task of today is to sew up those side seams that we didn't get to yesterday and do a first try on, make sure that the pants seem to be fitting well before adding the waistband. This is always the step that I get a little bit nervous about, because what if we put in all this work and then the garment doesn't fit? But we will cross that bridge if and when we get to it. I have decided I'm going to do these side seams with French seams as well. So I'm actually going to be sewing the side seams first, wrong sides together, and then trying them on just to make sure that they fit okay. And then assuming that the fit is okay, sewing the right sides together, because I don't want to sew a whole French seam and then have them not fit well. So that's what we're doing first. Just stuck me in my finger. Good start. Okay, super happy with how these are looking. Obviously, they'll come up a little bit higher, probably like to the top of my bike shorts now, because there's gonna be a waistband, but they feel super comfortable. And they'll also come in just like a teeny tiny bit when I close up this side seam with the French seam. But yeah, I think we are looking good. I think we are on the right track. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the French seams on the out seam, and then we'll get into the waistband. Okay, with the pant side seams done, next up we need to make some belt loops. And I remember this being kind of a tedious process the first time around, so I thought maybe we just do it with some movie magic. We'll see if it works. Okay, that was very cheesy, but I figured it might be more fun than watching me make 5 belt loops. So now that we have those done, we can actually get started on the waistband, which is where I'm gonna have to get a little bit creative, because I do want to adjust the waistband as it's written in the pattern. So my idea, if you remember, is to have the front waistband be the same as written in the pattern with the buttons and everything, and then the back waistband to be elasticated, so there's a little bit more stretch, a little bit more give, and hopefully make the pants a little bit more comfortable. So I don't exactly know how I'm gonna do that. The pattern has just one solid waistband piece and I've kept it like that, but I did cut a piece that's maybe like 6 to 10 inches longer than what the pattern calls for. So my plan, tentatively, is to pin and sew it in place through the front, and then with whatever kind of extra fabric I have in the back, place an elastic down and sew it on. It makes sense in my head, so we'll see if it makes sense in practice. I'll try to show you what I mean. Okay, let me tell you about this waistband situation. First, I kind of measured out how long the waistband in front was going to be versus how much room I had to play with in back. And once I had that figured out, I put in a basting stitch along the back section so I could gather it in to be the same length as the pants. Once I did this, I really discovered how difficult this fabric was to gather. It definitely did not want to gather. It was a lot stiffer than I anticipated. So that posed a little bit more of an issue than I thought it would, but it was okay for this first step. I then went and pinned everything in place along the top of the pants and sewed on the waistband as I normally would, just keeping in mind those gathers in the back. Once I had the waistband piece sewn to the rest of the pants, I went ahead and measured out how much elastic I wanted. After trying on the pants later in the process, I think I should have cut the elastic a little bit shorter, but I just kind of measured with my heart because I wasn't sure how to like fully try on or test how much elastic I wanted before I could really try on the pants, if that makes sense. I just measured out the elastic to be a little bit shorter than the actual length of the back pants, and to secure the elastic, I did a zigzag stitch on either side of where it was going to end up. And while this did look kind of ugly on the outside of the pants, there's a belt loop on either side that's actually going to cover and disguise that zigzag stitch. Then the last step of the waistband was just to fold the waistband in half and sew it down to both secure the waistband and hide all of the raw edges on the inside. This is the part where I ran into a little bit of trouble with the fabric being so resistant to gathering. I did try to place another gathering stitch on the other end of the waistband to gather it in the same way that I did the first side, and it was just like too thick. I think because I was actually dealing with 2 layers of fabric, I could not gather it the way that I wanted to, and so I ended up just doing almost pin tucks on the inside of the pants. And I figured if it doesn't look as nice on the inside, that's okay, as long as the outside looks okay. Then I sewed it all together. It was actually kind of tough to sew this. There were at sometimes several layers that I was sewing through with the gathers and the belt loops and everything. So my machine struggled a little bit, but we did get through it. And ultimately, I think it looks pretty good. The back where it's all gathered is maybe a little bit like puffier than what I first anticipated. So I maybe didn't need as much fabric in the back as I ended up using, but ultimately I think it looks kind of cute. And I think that brings you up to speed. So now we really just have a couple of finishing touches on the pants. We've got to do the buttons and we've got to finish off the belt loops, and then obviously we have to hem the pants. I'll probably just give you a little montage of those final steps, and then we'll do a final try on. Yeah, I'm excited for them to be done. These last few steps are always like a little bit of a slog, but I'm gonna try to be patient with them. Guys, the pants are done. If I'm looking a little bit bedraggled, it's because I've been working for many hours this afternoon. This was definitely a little bit more of a mission than I thought it was going to be. I've worked on these pants for the better part of the week, but I'm so happy with how they turned out. As you know, I loved the Lander pant the first time I made it last year, and I feel like I've only improved this time. I'm so proud of the finishes that I did on it. As you know, I did all French seams all throughout, and I think that gave it a really clean finish on both the inside and the outside. I'm super happy with how I did the pockets, just did a little bit better job of like attaching those, I think. And then as far as improving the fit, which was kind of the main goal of remaking these pants, I am super happy with how the waistband situation turned out. Hopefully it made sense when I walked you through kind of the changes that I made from the pattern. I was kind of winging it. I had an idea in my head of how I could make some small alterations, but I really had no idea whether this half elasticated waistband would turn out the way that I wanted it to and how I had it in my head. And so I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Like I said before, I think I probably could have done with a little bit less fabric in the back. There is kind of like a poofy structure sort of thing happening in the back where the elastic is, but honestly I think it's kind of fun, and I do really feel like the elastic has improved the fit of the pants. I just feel like I get a much closer fit around the waist no matter when I'm standing or sitting. I'm not getting any gapping in the back, and it's a little bit more comfortable than the straight interfaced waistband of the original. Yeah, so happy with that, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this maybe inspires you to make something a little bit more springtime, whether that's spring in the colors or in the fabric or the construction. If you are also in a part of the world that is moving into a warmer season, I hope you embrace it. And please let me know what you're making below, because I'm always curious to hear. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad that you're here, and if you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing. We are very close to 100 subscribers, which honestly, when I first started, I had no idea whether any single person would watch these videos. So 100 might not be a lot, but it feels like a lot to me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps YouTube know how to push my channel out to other people who might like it. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you again next time for another make. Bye.